I just want to get on here really quick and share this cool idea that I heard the other day, and it's that your body, these brilliant, miraculous bodies, are made of atoms that are billions of years old. Our bodies are culminations of the beginnings of time. The energy can never be created nor destroyed. I think that Carl Sagan was so much smarter than all of us when he said, our bodies are stardust. And going even further, our souls, the eternal witness, the consciousness that is us, is even older than that. And I thought it was really fun to know that we are eternal beings experiencing reality from a billion-year-old structure. I just found that so magical. I found that so just mind-blowing that I don't know, I've heard it a million times, not a million times, I've heard it probably a dozen times, but yet it hit me in such a way to recognize these atoms have been here since the beginning, and after we leave these bodies, they'll be here till the end. The body is always changing. No matter what we do, no matter what we try, none of us will make it out of here alive. At least not our bodies. But our souls, our inner being, that eternal aspect of us, the extension of God, of source energy, of the infinite creative potential. It's a lot of flowery words. That is eternal. That is that witness that gets to go from this life to the next and has been through so many lives previously. And it's such a wonderful thing to remember and to think about. This body, even though I think it's 38 years old, it's been on this planet for 38 years, is made up. These hairs, this skin, these eyes, this nose, and the organs inside, the cells, everything is made up of atoms that have been around since the beginning of time. How magical is that? And when we tie that in with manifesting, we think of quantum physics. It makes me think of quantum physics. And quantum physics says reality doesn't exist unless there's a perceiver of reality. Meaning, when they do these experiments, electrons act as waves. They're in this superposition around a nucleus. They're in this infinite moving space. And yet when we look for it, so it looks like a wave, but when we look, we observe it, we look for it in that particular spot, it shows up as a particle. It goes, wow, okay. So if something is in the superposition and it looks like a wave, until I'm observing it, that means that if I begin to observe something different than my current reality, what I've been observing, if I keep taking my thoughts and beliefs from my past, and I keep bringing them into my present and in my future, or then my future is going to show up as my past does. Because I am turning particles into matter. I'm turning waves into particle matter. I don't know if I'm not a quantum physicist, so I'm probably not saying that right. But I am turning these wave functions into particles, into matter, when I observe them. And so that means that I get to dictate how I want those future wave functions to turn into particles, into matter. And because my body is a billion-year-old structure from these atoms that have been around since the beginning, we can call it the Big Bang, since the beginning, from the beginning initiation of this beautiful experiment, that means that I get to dictate how these atoms start to function. I get to do that with my perception, being my thoughts. I get to do that with my perception, being my beliefs. I get to do that with my perception, meaning my words. And I get to go even further and I get to change those atoms with my behavior, with my action. And I think that's so freaking fun and fascinating that we get to dictate the function of not only our own physical bodies, the atoms that are existing within our physical bodies, but the atoms existing around us in our immediate environment. I get to change the atoms that show up for me based upon my perception. That is what quantum physics is communicating. But these atoms that are billions of years old within my body that have been around since the beginning. I could have been a serial murderer, and I could have been a wise sage, and I could have been an elephant, and I could have been a crustacean, I could have been a lobster, I could have been just a bead of grass, which realistically I've eaten a lot of grass and plants, so my body has molecularly become that. And it goes even further to on the importance of eating from nature. Nature balances everything. That's why it's so important to get out of nature to clear our vibration, right? That's why they call it forest bathing, or just going into the water. Or when we take a shower, we feel more cleansed and clear, right? The baptism is in water. It develops this clarity, this cleansing. And so when we are ingesting foods that are of nature, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, really clean water, we are ingesting the nature that has not been yet tainted. When we are eating those ultra-processed foods, the alcohols, taking drugs, we're ingesting these particles, these atoms into our body. And oftentimes they become the structure. They don't just become the gasoline for the vessel to continually move. They become the structure of the vessel. And so if I want really clean atoms, if I want these really clean particles within my body that become my new structure, that I can then formulate, I can then design with my own thoughts, my own emotions, and my own actions, my own words. If I want to do that with the clearest palette, right? If I'm painting and I want the best, clearest oil paints to put on that beautiful canvas, I should probably be ingesting those things that are coming from nature, right? I should probably, if I want to be painting a new picture, I should probably be thinking the clearest, most beautiful thoughts I can. I should be using mantras. I should be using affirmations in order to get myself into this state of feeling as if I already am that which I'm wanting. I want better health. Guess what? I need to change, right? I need to change, but I need to start here. I need to change my mind. I get to change my thoughts. That begins to change my beliefs. Those thoughts immediately tie in with my emotions. We've talked about that in the past, how the emotions are linked with the thoughts, right? Based upon how aligned they are with our inner beings, with our souls. And then I get to take those inspired action steps to move forward to really change everything. But it starts here. And then it goes deeper here. And then it outwardly expresses. But I think that's such a fun idea. And it's something that we should really continually remind ourselves. We are just the latest culmination. This body is just the latest culmination collection of atoms that have been around since the beginning of time. Energy can never be created nor destroyed. Meaning the atoms, right? The atoms within the air that are floating around right now, that are in the food, that are in the water. All of these things change. Even the paint on the walls changes, right? These things break down. These bodies will eventually end. Excuse me. However, in the midst of getting to enjoy these vessels and being able to create, to manifest the life that we truly want, excuse me, I'm getting the burps. we have to understand that those atoms, based upon the quantum physics that we talked about, change based upon our perception of them. Those electrons change in response to our perception of them. They are already in this superposition around the nucleus. They are everywhere, all at once, going in and out of time. Right? The way that quantum physicists explain this is far more intriguing than the way I do. But going in and out of time, moving around in this superposition, until we perceive where it's going to be. And so if we take that on a macroscopic level, reality as a whole, because it is made up of all of these atoms, we get to decide the structure of how that reality shows up for us. Reality, nature is objective. It is what it is, right? We have to accept what is. This is what it is. But subjectively, I get to change how that reality shows up for me. The gym for me looks like a job, right? It looks like where I get to engage with people, I get to inspire people's lives, I get to change them. But for others, the gym sucks ass. It's a place where you have to go and struggle. It's a place where you have to work really hard. It's a place where you have to sweat and get dirty and lift heavy things and touch dirty things. But it's all perception. It is in and of itself just a gym. It's just a blank slate. It doesn't matter what it is. But to each of us, it has meaning. And so if we want to go forward into our lives and create the reality that we are seeking, not only are we going to change the physical reality with our thoughts, but we have to change the subjective reality. We have to go forward living a life full of gratitude, right? Looking for things that are going right in our lives. Because the atoms are just the atoms. They're a blank slate. They're going to continue to change. And your body is your body, and it gets to change based upon your own perception of it. I think that is so much fun to play with. Everything in reality is a blank slate. You're sick? That's okay. You accept it. This is sickness. This is where I am. If I want to change sickness, I change the mindset of sickness. And I begin to communicate with the cells, with the atoms. I am healthy. You visualize yourself as being fully healthy. And then you start getting inspiration because you feel this emotion. Oh wow, my inner being knows that I'm healthy and I'm capable of full healing. My inner being is healed. Why shouldn't I be healed in my physical body? And so we take these inspired action steps because our inner being, the universe, will begin to guide us towards that full healing, that full health that we've been imagining. The problem with all of this is that we want it like that. We want it from, I visualize it, I get it. I visualize it, I get it. And from the promise of the inner being, from the soul, that is what happens in that reality, in that non-physical state. It changes from immediate desire to manifestation, desire to manifestation. But for us, in our physical forms, the manifestation occurs when we've embodied fully that new belief, that new thought, that new emotional state, that feeling state, marrying the thought and the emotion with that becomes our feeling. Thought, emotion become the feeling. When we have that feeling of being fully healed, when we have that feeling of being abundantly wealthy, when we have that feeling of being with our perfect person, reality must show up for us that way. That is the quantum physics of this. The atoms are existing. The atoms are there. The person is there. The health is there. The money is there. And the atoms will begin to align with us as we perceive those atoms, as we perceive those electrons. It's a pretty simplified way of explaining this, but we don't need to get into the muck and into the garbage, into the weeds, because This is the primary way that we change reality. This is the way that we manifest the life that we want. This is the way that we create joy and happiness within ourselves. Joy and happiness exist always. Lao Tzu says a grateful mind is a happy mind. But you must take control of the thoughts in your own head. You must direct those thoughts. You must take the time to write down 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for. If you don't, if you haven't yet, you can use the journal, the 11-day manifestation guide that I set up for you guys. It's in the link in the description down below. It will help guide you, develop your mental strength, your mental muscles, so that you begin to direct your attention, direct your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. Your atoms, the atoms around us, are going to begin to coalesce, to come together into the vision that we see. But if we keep bringing our past beliefs, our past thoughts, the experiences that we've had into the future, we are going to continue to formulate, those atoms are going to continue to formulate into the past that you're bringing into the present, which becomes your future. And so you have to take your present moment and begin to realign that, redesign that structure, not allowing the past to dictate the present or the future anymore. Beautiful, you have a past. We have a past. Zach, you have PTSD because you had leukemia twice. Great. You had graft versus host disease. Great. It doesn't matter anymore. That is part of your past. If you want a new future, use your present to design it. Let those atoms combine and coalesce. I think I'm using that word correctly. Combine and coalesce into that beautiful picture that you want, until eventually you're with your perfect partner. You have the perfect health. You have more than enough money. These are not outlandish teachings. These are teachings from throughout time and history that I'm just combining right now and using because hopefully we're having some fun. But that's it. I just think it's such a beautiful thing. Your cells, your atoms are billions of years old that have come into existence at that time of the divine boom, spark, the Big Bang. And now you are just the latest compilation of those atoms. And I've said it 5 times now in this video, and I'll probably end it here. But yeah, I hope you remember that. It's fun for me. I have a good time thinking about that. It makes me so joyful, and I don't know, it's so much fun to realize I'm an eternal being in a billion-year-old body sharing this message with other billion-year-old bodies from eternal perspectives. That's such a fascinating thing. It's so fun. And you have that beautiful power within you. But you have to break free of those bad habits. Just change them now. Well, I can't. I learned this from my mom, or my dad did it this way, or my siblings teased me, or my person did this, or life has been hard for me. Yeah. Welcome to being a human being. Congratulations, eternal being in a billion-year-old body, having this momentary human experience that you think is short and that's it. It is short. In terms of a billion-year-old body, these atoms are going to thank you the more gratitude you feel for them. These atoms in your body, these billion-year-old atoms, are going to begin to transform and transmute. As you begin to transform and transmute them with gratitude, with joy, with love, with appreciation, with meditation, with stillness, these atoms are going, once your body is gone, are going to move out and are going to become something new. And they're going to carry with it structure. These atoms are going to carry with them structure. Just as the atoms that are currently in your bodies have come from many, many, many millions and millions of things throughout time and history to be where they are now within you. That's something fascinating. Maybe that's what the beauty of past lives is. It's all these memories from all these atoms within our bodies. It's a fascinating thing to play with. But nonetheless, you get to form how these atoms show up within your body. You get to change the vibrational signature frequency of the atoms in your body as you change your mind, as you change your emotional state, as you change your beliefs. These atoms strengthen and become different. They break free of the old signatures, the old patterns of where they've come from before this. You get to change the structure of the atoms. That's how powerful you are. That's what quantum physics says, and so we're just going to go with it. But you get to change that through your own thoughts, through your own words, through your own actions. And then when you die, then when you leave this body, and your eternal being continues to go on and change into other forms, the atoms that were once within this body change and become something new. And the process continues on, right? That's the process. And so that's fun to think about. Change your behavior. You can do it. You don't have to keep doing your shadow work. You don't have to keep wondering why. Those things will arise naturally as you do the inner work, which is meditating, which is journaling, which is practicing gratitude, which is visualizing. All of these things are powerful tools to change the atomic structure, to change the vibrational structure, right? This whole time I didn't use that word once, but you're changing the vibrational structure of the atoms within your body, of the molecules, of the quantum particles within your body. You're changing those, and as you change those, the universe attracts, right? Brings to you that which you are. That which is like unto itself is drawn. I didn't want to make this a manifestational thing, but it always comes back to that. You can change your life by knowing that you are a billion-year-old atomic structure from an eternal perspective, an eternal consciousness perspective. That is magnificent. That is, I don't have the words for. You have the capacity to do this. This is a hype video. Do it. Stop sitting around and wondering why you're hurting, why you're in pain, why you're emotionally distressed. Change it. You have that capacity. You are so magnificent that you can change the atomic structure, the atomic vibration this moment right now by going and writing down 10 things you're grateful for. And then as you feel better, write 10 more things. And then do a little brainstorming and write more things that you're grateful for off of those. And there's Rory back there. She's always grateful. Little 3-year-old Rory. You have so much magnificent power within you. And I don't even know. Probably nobody's going to even watch to the end. But it doesn't matter, because those who watch to the end, you will be reminded that you have the power. You have the potential. So do something about it. Change the atomic vibration, the atomic structure, by thinking differently, by meditating and emptying out your cup and being still and letting those cellular vibrations naturally change. Script about it. Talk about how healthy you are, even if you're sick. Talk about how wealthy you are, even if you're poor. Talk about what a wonderful relationship you're in right now, even if you're not in it. Talk about those things as you're writing them to change the atomic vibration, right? The atomic structure. Oh, Rory's crying now. But talk about it. Write it down. Be intent with it. As you do that, things will change. Everything changes. You're a billion-year-old formation from an eternal perspective. And that is a beautiful thing. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. If you haven't, download that 11-day manifestation guide. I promise you it's going to help you. It's helped me. I've used it. I did it, created it for you guys so that it could help you with these things. And that, my friends, is it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. Be loved. You are safe. You are loved. You are protected. And you are worthy. Go forward in your experience, knowing that fully. Bring that into your body and go forward and share that with others. I love you. Until our next time, I will see you soon. Adios, my friends. Bye. Bam. See ya.